Jesus, I surrender all to Him. I freely give. I will ever love and trust Him, in His presence daily live.
The 4th of December, 1902, Volume 4. Jesus manifests the reasons of his operating. I was thinking in my mind about this obedience, saying, they are right in commanding me this way. Besides, it is not such a great thing that the Lord would allow me to obey in the way wanted by them. So they say, either he should let you obey, or he should tell the reason why he wants the confessor to come to make you come round from that state. While I was thinking of this, my adorable Jesus moved in my interior, telling me, my daughter, I wanted them to find the reason of my operating by themselves, because in my life, from the moment I was born up to my death, everything can be found, since the life of the whole church is enclosed in it. When compared to some step that can be conformed to my life, the most difficult matters are solved, the most tangled situations are unravelled, and in the most obscure and abstruse ones, such that the human mind almost becomes lost in that obscurity, one finds the clearest and brightest light. This means that they do not have my life as their rule of their operating, otherwise they would have found the reason. But since they have not found the reason themselves, it is necessary that I speak and manifest it. After this he stood up and with the empire, but so much that I became fearful, he said, what is the meaning of that ostende te sacerdoti? Show yourself to the priest. Then, becoming sweeter, he added, my power extended everywhere, and from any place I was, I could operate the most sensational miracles. Yet in almost all my miracles, I wanted to be personally present. As for example, when I resurrected Lazarus, I went there. I had them remove the sepulchral stone. Then I had him released, and then with the empire of my voice, I called him back to life. In resurrecting the young girl, I took her by the hand with my right hand, and I called her back to life. And in many other things which are recorded in the Gospel and which are known to all, I wanted to be there with my presence. This teaches the way in which the priest must behave in his operating, since the future life of the church was enclosed in mine, and these are things that pertain to you, though in general, but your specific circumstances they will find on Calvary. I, priest and victim, lifted up on the wood of the cross, wanted a priest to be present to assist me in that state of victim, and he was St. John, who represented the nascent church. In him I saw everyone, popes, bishops, priests, and all the faithful together. And while assisting me, he offered me as victim for the glory of the Father and for the good outgrowth of the nascent church. In fact, that a priest assisted me in that state of victim did not happen by chance, but everything was a profound mystery disposed ab eterno, from eternity, in the divine mind, intending that when I choose a soul as victim for the grave needs present in the church, a priest must offer her to me, assist her for me, help her and encourage her to suffer. If these things are understood, fine. They themselves will receive the fruit of the work they offer, just like St. John. How many goods did he not receive for having assisted me on Mount Calvary? If then they are not understood, they do nothing but put my work amid continuous contrasts, diverting my most beautiful designs. In addition to this, my wisdom is infinite, and when it sends some cross to a soul for her sanctification, It does not take that soul alone, but 5, 10, as many as I please, so that not one alone, but all others together may be sanctified. In fact, on Calvary, I was not alone. In addition to having a priest, I had a mother. I had friends and also enemies. And on seeing the prodigy of my patience, many of them believed in me as the God I was and were converted. Had I been alone, would they have received these great goods? Certainly not. But who can say everything, he told me, or explain the most minute meanings? I said this the best I could, the way I was able to say it in my roughness. I hope that the Lord will do the rest by illuminating them so that they may comprehend what I have not been able to manifest well. End of the reading. The 4th of December 1904, Volume 6. It is easier to fight with God than with obedience. As I was very agitated, and with the fear that blessed Jesus no longer wanted me in this state, I felt an interior strength to go out of it, and this strength I felt within me was so great that, unable to contain it, I kept repeating, "I feel tired, I cannot take any more." In my interior being, I heard said to me, "I too feel tired, I can take no more. It is necessary that you remain completely suspended from the state of victim for a few days, so as to let them make the decision for wars. Then I will make you full again. And then when they do make wars, we'll see what should be done with you." I did not know what to do. Obedience did not want it, and fighting with obedience is the same as surmounting a mountain that fills the earth and touches the heavens, and without a path on which to walk, therefore insurmountable. I don't know whether this is foolishness, but I believe that it is easier to fight with God than with this terrible virtue. So agitated as I was, I found myself outside of myself, in front of a crucifix, and I said, "Lord, I can take no more. My nature has failed me. I lack the necessary strength to be able to continue in this state of victim. If you want me to continue, give me the strength, otherwise I quit." While I was saying this, a fountain of blood gushed out from that crucifix toward heaven, and falling back over the earth, it converted into fire. Several virgins were saying, "For France, Italy, Austria, and England," and they were mentioning other nations, but I did not understand well. Most grave wars are prepared, civil and governmental. On hearing this, I became all frightened, and I found myself inside myself. I myself could not decide what I should follow, whether the interior strength that pushed me to go out of the state of victim, or the strength of obedience that pushed me to stay. Both of them were strong and powerful over my weak and poor being. So far it seems that obedience prevails, though with difficulty, and I don't know where I will end up. End of the reading. The 4th of December 1918, Volume 12. Effects of the imprisonment of Jesus in the Passion. I spent last night in prison with Jesus. I compassionated him. I clung to his knees to sustain him. And Jesus told me, "My daughter, during my passion, I also wanted to suffer imprisonment in order to free the creature from the prison of sin. Oh, what a horrible prison sin is for man. His passions chain him like a vile slave, while my imprisonment and my chains released him and unbound him. For loving souls, my imprisonment formed their prison of love, in which to remain safe and sheltered from everyone and everything. And I released them to keep them as living prisons and tabernacles, which were to warm me from the coldness of the tabernacles of stone, and even more from the coldness of the creatures who, imprisoning me within themselves, make me die of cold and starvation. This is why many times I leave the prisons of the tabernacles and I come into your heart, to be warmed and to refresh myself with your love. When I see you going in search of me in the tabernacles of the churches, I say to you, are you not the true prison of love for me? Look for me inside your heart and love me. End of the reading. The 4th of December 1923, Volume 16. Louisa does not want to be known, but it is necessary that it be known how Jesus made the kingdom of the divine will depend on her, just as it was necessary to speak of Most Holy Mary in order to make redemption known. I was thinking about what I am writing on the most holy will of my sweet Jesus. The fact that blessed Jesus wants to say many sublime things about his holy will is right, because anything that can be said about it, its height, its greatness, its prodigies, etc., is all good. Even more, everything is little compared to what could be said. But always braiding this poor soul of mine with it, this should not be in there. It is his will, what he should make known, not me. My poor person should not exist, more so since this whole thing is his, not mine. To me there is nothing left but the confusion of what he tells me. But in spite of this, obedience forces me to write, not only on the divine will, but also on the braiding he makes between me and his will. Now, while I was thinking about this, my sweet Jesus came out from within my interior and squeezing me to himself told me, my daughter, you are always my newborn of my will, and then you are wrong. You want me to speak about my will and to make it known, and the one who has to be the channel, the spokesperson, the instrument to make it known should not exist? If this thing were to remain between me and you, maybe it could work. But since I want my will to have its kingdom, and the kingdom cannot be formed only with one person, but with many people and of different conditions, it is therefore necessary that not only my will, the goods it contains, the nobility of those who will want to live in this kingdom, the good, the happiness, the order, the harmony, which everyone will possess, be known, but also the one whom my goodness has chosen as origin and beginning of such a great good. By braiding you together with my will, by raising you above all the things of creation, I do nothing other than give more importance to my will, raising it more and giving it more weight. The more a king is good, holier, richer, more generous, more loving than his subjects, to the extent of placing his own life, rather than allowing one who lives in his kingdom to be touched, the more that kingdom is esteemed and loved, arousing in all the desire to live in that kingdom. Even more they compete with each other to see who would obtain such a fortune. Therefore, the good functioning of the kingdom and its importance derive from the knowledge of the king. By saying that you do not want to be braided with my will, you would want the kingdom without king, the science without master, the possessions without owner. What would happen to this king, to this science, to these possessions? How many disorders, how much ruin would not occur? And I do not know how to do disordered things. On the contrary, the first thing in me is order. See, this would have happened in redemption if my dear mamma had not wanted to make known that she was my mother, that she had conceived me in her virginal womb, and that she had nourished me with her milk. My coming upon earth would seem incredible, and no one would have been moved to believe and to take the goods contained in redemption. Instead, thanks to the fact that my mother made known who she was, the one who is exempt from every stain, also of origin, a prodigy of grace, and how she loved all creatures as tender children, and for love of them she sacrificed the life of her Son and God. Redemption received greater importance and became more accessible to the human mind, forming the kingdom of redemption with its copious effects. So braiding my mother with the work of redemption was nothing other than giving more importance to the great good which I came to do upon earth. Having to be visible to all, taking on human flesh, I had to use a creature of the human race, whom I had to exalt above all, in order to accomplish my high designs. Now, if this happened in order to form the kingdom of my redemption upon earth, in the same way, having to form the kingdom of my will, it is necessary that another creature be known, in whom the true reigning of my will must have its origin and beginning, as well as who she is, how much I loved her, how much I kept her sacrifice for all and for each one. In a word, everything which my will has disposed and poured into her. But by braiding you, it is always my will that stands out. These are ways and means in order to make it known. These are attractions, spurs, lights, magnets, in order to draw everyone to come to live in this kingdom of happiness, of grace, of peace, of love. Therefore, let your Jesus do, who loves you very much, and do not want to afflict yourself, and even less be concerned about the way I carry out the braiding of my will with you. Think only about continuing your flight in the eternal boundaries of my supreme volition. End of the reading. There are no more readings today. Have a blessed day.